Come share the great outdoors with Rex, he'll show you how it's done. When he throws a line in, the adventure's just begun. Friendly faces, special places, tips that never fail ya. Come with Rex, hunt, fishing, Australia. Out on the mighty ocean, a secluded bay somewhere. When and where they're biting, you can bet you'll find Rex there. All is quiet and peaceful, then you hear that famous crack.
Absolutely magnificent. Will you take a look at that?
The latest gaff on tackle, how it works and why. Stories of the ones that got away in days gone by. Friendly faces, special places, tips that never fail ya. Come with Rex, hunt, fishing, Australia.
G'day folks, glad you could join us again on Rex Hunt Fishing Australia. Today we visit the west coast of Victoria to the historic township of Portland and do a bit of pier fishing. Well folks, behind me, the beautiful township of Portland in Western Victoria, the site of our first settlement. And with me, John Considine from Warrnambool. You brought me over here, John, and today, if you haven't got a coat on, mate, you don't own one, do you?
Well, you're mad, I can tell you now.
Now, what about this harbour? It looks very, very fishy. There's more piers here than at San Francisco. You're going to produce the goods for us.
Well, if you can't find a spot to park your backside and catch a fish here, I'm not John Considine.
Big words, folks, big words. Let's put it to the test. Come on, Consi.
Let's do it.
Well, mate, I tell you what, point a Channel 7 camera in any direction, the weather goes foul and the fish go on the blink, so I hope it's all going to happen today. But folks, pier fishing means you can still pay attention to detail. I've got the famous Paternoster rig. And old Bert Paternoster must be warming in his grave because he left behind a wonderful institution in rigs for fishing. The bottom snood falls below the sinker, and that's for any of our bottom dwelling species, and the top snood comes just below a swivel. And John, I usually put a little bit of tube there, a little bit of red tube to attract the fish, but you've got a very basic rig, and tell our folk at home all about it.
Well, I certainly have, Rex. The rig that I'm using is very similar to a brim rig that I use in the Hopkins River or anywhere in Australia for that matter.
Yeah.
A very small hook, a long shank, presented with a bait that's longitudinal so that the fish species can come up, it doesn't matter what they are, and they can suck it in, because we're not looking to catch big species of fish here today with teeth. We're assuming we might get small mackerel, trevally and whiting. It's very simple, a simple way to go fishing, and it's very productive as far as I'm concerned.
And don't forget the little lesson that I've been telling you for 4 years on national television, folks. Use the piers to your advantage. We fish straight down. We don't throw out where the fish are not going to be. And we don't fish where the fish ain't, we fish where the fish are. John, hopefully.
Oh, let's do it.
Mate, I wonder if the barometers put them down a little bit. There's not a lot of activity from the birds and the gulls and that sort of... See, I've got fish on the go here now and he's just seemed to be mouthing it, but doesn't matter. The old piers is a great place, isn't it, eh?
Of course it is. You don't need a boat and anyone can do it. Hey, what have you got going here, mate?
He made the fatal mistake. I tell you what, he took it about halfway down in about 30 foot of water, and I haven't got a clue what it is. He's not doing enough for a slimy mackerel, mate. Well, this is a good thing for the food chain here. Have a look at this, because right around Australia, these really save the day for a lot of our pier anglers, don't they?
They certainly do, mate, and they're a streamlined-looking fish. They look good, they fight good. They're a good species for, you know, any small children to catch.
Yeah. And with a 10-0 hook through the dorsal, mate, down a burley trail at Barramundi, Yibbida Yibbida, that's all, folks.
Well, what are we doing here in the cold air of Portland?
We're getting back to basics, mate, because that's what it's all about, folks.
Of course it is.
Back to basics at Portland. Fantastic. And there he goes. Good fun here, John. Hey, who'd want to be home by a fire when you could be out here freezing your backside off?
Well, why not? It's a healthy way of living.
Tell you what, it's a busy sort of a port. Where's that ship going to go to?
I'd say it's going across to Japan to take those wood chips across there and squeeze it into timber sheeting for housing and flooring.
And the Saudi Arabians love the sheep from Portland, apparently.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they go out of here by the thousand.
A lot of history about the joint. I know just at the back of the main street, a very, very good effort to retain the original buildings that going back, well, it's Victoria's first settlement, as I said, but going back into those dark ages.
Certainly is, and they're really worth seeing right around Australia. There's places like that, but lovely historical buildings.
Yeah.
And as you said, they've been retained in their natural state, and they'll be there for many, many hundreds of years to
There's
come,
a
I say.
bun fight been going on for 17,000 years
Yeah.
between two families, like the real McCoy sound here, as to who founded this joint. Who did find the joint?
Well, back in 1836, and I think I might have just heard a fish rising out there, but we'll get back to him in a minute. But back in 1836, the Duttons and the Henties came on the scene, and there are factions within the city of Portland as to who the real founders were. Some say the Duttons, some say the Henties. Who cares, mate? We're here, the fishing's here, that's all that matters.
It's like Kramer versus Kramer. It's Dutton versus Henry. It's Considine versus Hunt. It doesn't matter. Fishing's the main thing. It's a bit freezing though, mate. I tell you now, it's a bit of frost on the pumpkin, as I said. Now that little tap on the end signifies, John, that there might be a little bit of an inquiry from an Elvis Presley fish.
I think you're into the business there, mate.
And I reckon we might have a leather jacket on, mate. I reckon by the look... Oh, yeah. Look at him. A six-spine leather jacket. Now, this is one of the saviours of the kids fishing the piers all over the nation. They're a beautiful coloured fish. And, folks, I just want to remind you why the leather jacket is down there. He's got this spine here that he puts up, he goes up, he rubs it, and then have a look at those munches. They go in and they take it all off. And he's got a nice big fat belly like I have, but a pretty fish. Mate.
Hey, hang on. Blue Riches is the kiss of death. Is this going to be the Hunt kiss of life?
I don't know, mate, but if I don't get him back in shortly, he's not going to swim, but what a beautiful fish. What do you got there, Concy?
I don't know, mate, but he's putting on one heck of a fight, this fellow. This might be one of our haddock from Portland here. It is.
Nice fish.
Oh, he's under the piles, mate. And this is what jetty fishing's all about. Some of these hassles you've got to put up with.
Righto. Okay, lift him in. Haddock. Looks like a snotty-nosed trevally from where I came from.
Good.
Mate, that's a nice-looking fish.
Gee, they fight well.
From my encyclopedia, that is a warrahoo or a snotty-nosed trevally. What are you calling it?
Well, here we call them haddock.
Yeah?
But,
Are they nice to eat?
well, they certainly are if you bleed them straight away, but this one might get the Rex Hunt kiss of death, I think, or
Kiss of life,
the
mate.
kiss of life.
Now I can see why they call them slimy trevally. Have a look at that. It's all slimy, isn't it? Mate. Mate, that's like kissing Errol Flynn. It's very
Hang on,
ordinary.
there's a lot of slime on those. No wonder they call them slimies and snotties.
Have a look at them. There's slime on them.
Thomas Cook stuff it, love that.
Thanks very much. There he... Oh! Did you see him go? And he went like 100 miles an hour, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Well, it's been good with you, Concy. I tell you what, we'll take a break and be back with more shortly. Phew, this is Rex Hunt Fishing Australia. Phew.
In the world of fishing, one of the best things that you can have going for you is a valuable set of contacts and some good local knowledge. And when Bushy and I come north to Darwin, our favourite offshore fishing charter operation is the good ship Yo Ho Ho and her skipper Mel Miles. You know, we were up here a couple of months ago and Bushy, you got one up on me, didn't you?
The big Jewy, I like that morning, Steve.
Well, that was quite some fish, mate. I've got a bit of ground to make up today.
Talking about ground, we're going out to one of the wide marks today, and it's just as well the Yo Ho Ho can go, go, go. I think we better go, go, go.
I think I can hear it now. Come on, mate. What I'm doing here is keeping this jig nice and close to the bottom. I let it sink until it hits the bottom like that. Then I give it a couple of fairly energetic jigs with a little bit of retrieving in between, then a little bit of a fast burst, and then free spool it and send it back to the bottom again. I'm just working that bottom layer where there's a lot of reef fish, and there could also be a mackerel or a cobia or anything else hanging around just above the bottom. And when I end up with too much line out, because each time I drop the jig, the current's taking it a little further away, when I get it too far out, I'll bring it back in, and I'll bring it in fast. because there's a good chance that a pelagic fish could hit it in mid-water on the way up, something like a big Spanish mackerel. It's a fairly energetic way to fish, and I tell you what, it's a good way to work up a sweat on a hot day like this. Well, Bushy, that didn't take long.
One drop.
First drop, he's not a real big fish, but the jig actually beat the bait. The boys told us that this is a pretty good spot out here and that they do eat jigs, and they're dead right. I've got a big heavy metal jig on, a flashy chromed sort of lure. I'll show you when I get it up, attached to this fish. And all I did was put it down on the bottom, bounce it up and down a couple of times. And in Queensland, that's what they call a smallmouth Nanagui. It's nothing like the Nanagui that we get down south in the cool waters. It's actually one of the snapper family, the tropical snappers, in the Lutjanid clan, the same family that contains the mangrove jack and the red bass and some of those other fish that we're familiar with. But very tasty eating fish, and as you can see, he's slammed that jig. It's quite a large jig. He hasn't got a real big mouth, but he's got plenty of teeth in there. And he's a predator, chases small fish, prawns, squid and the like. And I've got a feeling that might be the first of many. We're going to hang on to this bloke and eat him because, as you can see, he's blowing his swim bladder. It's quite distended here in the stomach area. Even if we put him back in the water, he wouldn't be able to get back down. The best way to practice conservation when you're deep reef fishing like this is to catch just enough for your immediate needs and then stop and go home, and that's exactly what we're going to do. That bloke will go on ice and he'll be part of my dinner tonight. Yes. Oh, that was a funny sort of take. Oh, I don't know what this is. Whoa, it's woken up now. I got a bit of ground on it before it realised it was hooked. It was just like a slow weight came on the line. Fair bit of current here, and I've got 3 fairly large ball sinkers on. Working that jig just got to be a little bit too much like hard work in this sun, so I switched over to a lighter outfit. 3 large ball sinkers and a single hook and a squid for bait. And something's nailed it. We're getting a lot of small bites down there. The boys tell us they're probably tricky snapper, which is a type of sweet lip, a bit like a spangled emperor. I don't know what this is. It's quite a good fighting fish. It's just plugging back up into the current, shaking its head. It's not a monster, but it's not a bad fish. Oh, and Bushy's on as well.
He grabbed mine just on the way down.
On the way down, did he?
Yeah, which is just as well because you were giving me a bit of a caning there, Steve. I'm starting to worry.
And the guys were telling us that they get big mobs of trevally out here at times. I don't think mine's a trevally. I'll put money on this being a reef fish of some sort, and I've got colour on it. And I'll just give up trying to guess what they are because it's a trevally. I'll just grab hold of my leader, lift this bloke in. Whoa! And he came off the hook, which is quite good. A lot of people call those ones tea leaf trevally because of the spots on them. They're not a bad eating fish either, but he's come up nice and healthy. I'm going to get him back in there to see if I can hit Bushy's line.
Thanks very much. Oh, yep, I reckon it is a tea leaf trevally.
It's a tea leaf trevally, whatever that is.
Well, we think it's a brassy trevally. What this is, it's a dark coloured thingy.
It's a bit tricky.
Oh,
coral trout.
Coral trout. And a little tricky. Oh.
Is that legal? Oh, that might be going to the Thai restaurant tonight.
That could be dinner. All right, he's blown up a bit anyway, and he is a legal size, Steve. So
yeah, he's
I think
legal length
could
and
be
one of the tastiest fish in the sea. That'll do us for the day, I think. It's been a really nice session.
Rex. Gone fishing. Listen up, going on back. Wahoo with Rex. Gone fishing. Listen up, going on back.
Folks, today we are in some pretty special country. First of all, I'm with a familiar face on Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures, our resident chef, or chef,
Thank you.
Ian Pocken. We've finally got you on a trip, son.
Rex, thanks for this, but what about this water we're fishing?
Well, it's very, very deep. It's 44 or 45 metres deep. Now, in the old scale, that is a lot of feet. I tell you what, I hope you've got enough line on your spool.
Well, look at the size. Look, 5-ounce sinkers and 6-foot traces. I mean, it's unbelievable what we're doing here today.
Well, I actually call it Investigator Strait, and I think we're here to investigate the possibility of some big whiting. Over there, the York Peninsula of southern Australia, which is part of the South Australian Gulf system, which is the home of King George whiting. But out here, apparently, if Rexy boy wants to get a kilo whiting, this is the place.
Have you ever caught a kilo whiting?
No, but I'm just about to. And you idiot, Ian, let's fish.
Right.
There we go. Oh, Ian.
What's happened, Rex?
Well, we're going to just see how good this little quiver tip line is. So
I tell you what, the varnish on the rod's cracking. My God, that's a whiting.
I'm here to give it a real go, this little quiver tip, folks. But I tell you what, we're going to be here for quite some time, because 140-something feet has got to, well, come between me and the whiting. But look, being quite serious, a lot of people think that this is an underkill. I reckon minimum 6 kilo gear here, but still, with 3 kilo stuff, if you take your time, well, you're going to be in with a show. I tell you what, by the feel of my arm, I'm going to have to give that a bit of a rest. It's the first time I've had to change arms in years, Ian. Look at that.
Would you like a cup of tea, Rex?
No, I tell you what, I'll get one in a minute. Don't worry about that. Isn't this just fantastic? Lifting and winding.
Now, Rex, these are not normal school fish, are they? You can liken them to grumpy old men, don't you reckon?
Well, you can.
Look at the size of this.
Look at the size of that. Gee whiz. That is a serious King George whiting, isn't it? An absolutely serious King George whiting. But when you come to think of it,
wow,
I don't reckon he's a kilo.
No, he's what, 800 grams?
Oh, I don't know, but I tell you what, beautiful big lips. But still, we did something that they reckon we couldn't do here. They reckon the old bearded burbler with his Victorian sort of fishing gear couldn't do it.
There's the goods.
Fantastic, folks. Not throwing this one back, folks, because this is real good eating material.
I think we'll give that one a little bit of a fry tonight.
We will fry at 0300 hours.
Fry by points. Rex, this is another whiting, and look at this. It wants to get back to the bottom. It's got that typical burrowing that they do. And I tell you what, this little rod, it is cracking under the strain, but we've got 6-pound line, and we're still doing it again. It's going to take a while. But gee, they're a beautiful fish, Rex. We're not used to this quality fishing, are we, in Victoria? Not this size. I mean, they are just superb. Here he comes. Look at that. Well, that's a good sized fish for Victoria. It's not a thumper for here, but we'd be very happy with that at home, Rex.
Now, what I'm doing here now, Brendan will take a shot of that, because if you actually open up the bail, and if you don't feather it or put it down under some pressure, you'll find that with a 2-hook rig, that it will tangle all over the top of the main line. And that is the problem with a lot of people who cast out, their lure or their line tangles and you're not fishing properly. So if you're going to have a go, it's worthwhile taking a few extra minutes to make sure you got the best shot possible. Also, in a little bit of an open ocean like this, folks, you're going to get a swell. No matter what the conditions, you're always going to get a swell. So it pays to sort of just go down with the boat and then come up with it. So your bait and rig is on the bottom at all stages. And then when you get a bite, you can sort of, we don't get this down with
we don't.
With the rubber twins down at Portsea, do we?
No,
we
don't. Mate. These are good fish, aren't they?
These are very, very good whiting. These are very, very good whiting. This could be what?
This could be our lucky day. We might get a fish around a kilo today.
Oh, well, who cares?
They're just
Exactly.
beautiful
Size fish, aren't they?
Oh.
And I just feel privileged to be able to...
Can you believe we're pulling these out of 120 feet of water?
Well, there's yours. I tell you what, it's a nice looking whiting, but I don't think it's too... I tell you what, Ian.
What about that?
Come and declare it, Ian. What do you think?
I think it might be a kilo. What do you reckon, boys? No,
No,
sorry.
we're not giving it a kilo. 850. We'll see what this is. This could be 850. Well, I hope it's 851. How'd you like a bloke with a head like that beating you, folks? I tell you what, Ian.
Tell you what.
Tell you what,
Look
they
at
are
this.
big King
They
George.
are- look at the
They
size.
are- look at these. These are big King George
Oh, I
whiting.
have never seen anything like
But I
this.
tell you what, I've never seen anything like it. Now you can know how big a 2-pound whiting is because they reckon that that's not a kilo. Well, sorry about the water on the lens there, folks, but I tell you what, another kisser, because the old Aggie pipe in there is going to cook for us tonight. I tell you what, we're going to cook up a storm.
Fabulous.
They are big fish, but you can see how people can be lured in to the false sense of security by saying you'd actually declare that 2-pound.
You would.
But
Yeah.
we've got the Measure brothers here, and they reckon it's not. Thank you very much. We're still going to try. We're still the old
Well,
King
the
George
old King
whiting
George twins.
But I tell you what, we're having a great time.
Are we what?
My lunch is starting to let me know that things are very nice. Thank you. South Australia is the home of King George whiting, and South Australia is the home of slimy mackerel. Have a look at this. I tell you what, folks, one thing I've always wondered, why do they call them slimy mackerel? Look at this, Ian.
Look at this, Rex.
And another King George whiting. Well, I tell you what, folks, have a look at that. The best eating fish in the sea, I'll give him 750 grams.
Fabulous.
The best live bait in the sea, and a lot of our people from Greece and Italy will go to the markets of Victoria to sort of size out these. So here you are, folks. Here's one you're not going to get. Thank you very much. There. It's actually ruined me and you for Portsea.
It has, completely.
Melbourne's Port Phillip Bay, where we might get one of those every 3 or 4 years, folks. I tell you what, if you love King George whiting like we do, any restaurant that you go into in Australia, they will have South Australian whiting. There is no doubt about it. I tell you what, it is a nightmare for my cameraman Brendan to be going up and down, but this is what I've got to do. I've got to go up and then down with the swell or down with the way the fish pulls it. Now when the line is fully loaded up, we'll get a little bit of drag going, but at the moment this light line is doing okay because there's plenty of stretch in it. And that's one of the advantages, is when you get a big fish on, you've got stretchy line. When you've got that other spider wire on, well, you've got to hope that everything's sort of okay. Now, do you like that?
Oh.
They're not quite 2 pound.
No, they're not.
However, I tell you what, I'll just, excuse me for a minute, folks, because I've got to get down here and get this bloke. Because, Ian, I reckon a couple of slabs of this fish.
Do you reckon you could eat a whole fish?
Mate, I could eat half a dozen of these. That's the good news. The bad news?
I've got to cook the fish.
Exactly, and I'm hungry.
Wahoo with Rex. Gone fishing. Kissing up, throwing 'em back.
It's quite cool here today, but I've broken out in a sweat for a couple of reasons. This little rod is really working overtime. That's fully loaded, that little rod. And I've got no worries at all of it breaking because these little rods are designed to really take some rough treatment. It's the angler who breaks the rod, not the fish. And I've got just enough drag on the front of that reel so that when the rod is fully loaded up and the line is fully spent to its breaking strain, which is just over 3 kilo, well, that's what angling is all about. And we must be very, very close to start. Look at this, it's a big trevally.
Look at that.
A beautiful big trevally. Now that is a serious fish, and behind it is a, well, he's gone now anyhow, but you had a look at him. And folks, what a fight. I tell you what, do these yakkers really put up a fight in South Australia? They talk about the South Australian whiting. What about these mighty midgets? Only trevally, is it, or what? Trevally? Whiting. It's the sort of this busted Ian.
Oh, no! that's a kilo. Look at the size of that.
Look at the size of that, folks. I tell you what, the 4 whiting I got to worry about the other day would actually fit into this fish. Now that, can we just say that that is a genuine kilo fish?
Yes.
Yes.
May I die in peace. Absolutely fantastic. Folks, South Australia. Why do they call them South Australian whiting?
Wahoo wins.
Rex.
Gone fishing. Here's another. Throwing 'em back.
Well, I tell you what, mate, they call it the Gold Coast. It's the Golden Sun Coast, as far as I'm concerned. Isn't it magnificent?
Isn't it ever?
And
Wish
look
every
at
day
this.
was like this.
Eh? Look at this. Still in the
pets.
condition it was 30 years ago. Well, folks, today I'm on the Gold Coast of South Queensland, and over there, Surfers Paradise. Now, this is a very heavy development, and Peter Pecula, well, he calls this home. You never get sick of it, do you?
Never, never, ever. No matter how much I travel, all I want to do is be here.
And all you want to do is go fishing with Rexy.
Absolutely.
Let's do it, folks, and see what he's got in store. As Rolf Harris would say, catch a fish in the broad water of Surfers Paradise. I'll do it again. Sure can.
Let's give it a go.
I'm an idiot, aren't I? Still, I've got a degree in it. Hope these fish can see our lures. It doesn't look as if it's going to be a problem.
No. They find them.
Yeah. Some beautiful houses around here. It's a lovely environment.
Oh, it's magnificent. It is.
Yeah, I like the look of your palm trees.
Hey, Rex, I think I got one, mate.
Have you?
I think I do. Yep, I got one. It doesn't feel like a real monster, and I promise you a monster. Hey?
Doesn't really matter.
Oh, it's a good one. I think it'll be all right. I don't think it knew what it bit when it bit this lure, eh, Rex?
I'll get this one
Look
out
at
of your road.
Okay, look at the size of
I
this.
tell you what, it's not a bad flathead.
Not a bad flathead, but look at the size of it compared to the lure. Look at the hooks in it too. Oh my God, this is going to
tell
be
you what.
messy.
Hang on, no, it'll be all right. Nice fish.
It is, isn't
I
it?
tell you what, a beautiful female dusky flathead. Could you have used a bigger lure, Pecula?
Well, we're after big fish, Rex. People really underestimate the ferocity of a flathead. I mean, they really are quite violent fish.
She's got a bit of a sea lice on her there.
Yeah.
Now, okay, run through what you do with tagging and releasing these magnificent fish.
These are our breeding stock, Rex. You know, without these fish, if you kill these fish, you kill the whole system.
Yeah.
You know, it's really important that we let these fish go. They don't like being caught.
Well, don't blame them.
And we actually use chemically sharpened hooks. Rather than try and disturb the fish, we just break the points.
Oh, that's a good idea. They slip straight out.
Yeah. You know, they're not barbless when we use them, but if we turn them into barbless, then they're just a lot easier to get out.
It's a bloke doing a bit of high-speed trolling from SeaWorld. Good on you, mate. How could you go up in a helicopter when we can have fun like this? See you later, mate. I think he's trolling a bit quick there. Okay.
Finally got the hooks out here.
Now,
These
that's
things
a
have got...
serious lure, mate.
Isn't it ever?
They say big fish, big bait, but this is ridiculous.
It's 60 centimetres.
Oh.
Put
60 centimetres?
60 centimetres. Take a scale out,
Yeah.
put the tag in. And then
You
you've got
actually
a bit-
catch a few every now and again with a tag?
I personally never have, but a lot of the fish that I've caught have been recaptured.
Fair dinkum. So, a beautiful female dusky flathead. As Peter says, these are the lifeblood of an estuarine system. A little bit of a peck for good luck later on.
At least you know you're kissing a girl that one.
Exactly, well, that's right. And we'll just let her go and have a look at that. That's gone.
Now, Rex, I promised you a big one. That's a good one, but we still got to get you a big one. The tide's rising. How about we try fly fishing the flats? Because the rising tide, the fish get on the flats. Maybe we'll get that big one there, eh?
Well, that's not a bad start, but I don't think I've got a fly that big. That fly's not big enough.
Ah, these flathead will take small things
That
too.
fly's not big enough.
We'll
But
find
still,
one that is.
You promised a big one. That's 2 kilos. Can we do any better?
We can try.
The step sounder says there's a few more fish here. I reckon we're going to have a great day. This is paradise, folks. It's not a bad start.
Well, folks, it's time to replace heavy metal with a little bit of fur and feather. Now, these flats of these magnificent estuarine systems of the eastern seaboard of Australia, oh, gee whiz, I don't know what that was. I think it was some sort of a flathead. But this is the home of flathead, and while they're not here in their 10s or even 2s or 3s, this is the home of some very, very big flathead as we know it in eastern Australia. Now, the ground here is very suitable for feeding fish. All these holes are made from a bash yabby or a nipper, as a lot of people would understand it. But when you're fishing these shallow flats with flies, I tell you what, it's always worth an hour or two of casting because it's very relaxing with a good mate and a little bit of a chin wag. The most important thing is, it's a good way to really understand about fly fishing. It's a good long cast. Folks, here, I'll just let my fly sink down a little bit. Here we've got a very shallow bank going across the other side, and there's quite a drop off. Plenty of yabby holes. Pete, the place for a big flathead, I reckon. Tell you what, puff of sand there.
Holy hell.
Oh, if you don't mind. Gee, did he nail that? Oh,
You know when you got him on,
he
that's a
doesn't
good
feel
fish.
that. No. Oh, do you reckon? He doesn't.
I reckon that. Do you see the puff of sand?
Yeah, I did. I tell you what.
I think it's playing with you, Rex.
You think he is?
Yeah. Could be a sulker. There it goes.
Oh. Hey, have a look at the size of him.
Holy
Oh,
hell.
holy mackerel. Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Oh, he's
Are
on the
there
other
any
side of that bank.
questions?
I'll go get him.
Well, you won't need the net. He's beached himself. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you think.
Yeah. Oh. Come here.
Oh man, have I been waiting for this one.
He's doggo a little bit. He must have been winterising in here, mate. I tell you what,
Oh,
he doesn't
yeah.
know what's going on
Mate, he'll
at
know.
all.
Well,
Look at him. Oh.
Mate, it's a bit gentle with a fly. You know, they're used to a bit more ruggedness than that. Have a look at it.
What a magnificent fish. You can't net him there, mate.
I can.
Oh, no.
Mate, have a look at this. Have a look at this one. I told you they live here. Hey? Mate, I told you they live here. Have a look at...
Oh.
Yeah, now he's starting to wake up.
I tell you what,
she...
I reckon in the summertime we would have been very, very lucky to actually get that fish.
Mate, that
We
fish
caught
doesn't
him-
know it's
We
hooked
caught him
yet.
a bit doggo.
He doesn't even know it's hooked yet. Let's just...
No, he doesn't. You want
Let's-
to lay him up here?
Yeah, I'll just get everything ready. We'll tag this one, do all the right
Folks,
things.
this is a serious flathead, so we'll just keep him into the tide there. Mate, I'm not a great judge in the water, but if he's not 10 pound in the old scale, 5 or 6 kilo, I tell you what, and have a look at his waft, that big clouser minnow. For you fly fishermen back there, having a look, that's an enlarged clouser minnow with a set of lead eyes. Harry can see it clearly through his lens there in that net. And for those interested, I'm using a 9-weight sage and a number 8 fin or reel with a sinking tip line. So that's what we're doing here. Now, that fish, you can see there how you would actually walk in the shallows and not be able to see that fish. If you didn't know there was a flathead in there, now all right mate, or it's no good going now, we're glad you didn't, because I don't reckon we would have seen you on our show. Okay, we ready just about to bring him in?
Just about. Just get a pair of pliers.
You just want to make sure that this fish is going to be okay.
You know, Rex, I
because-
reckon these are estuary granders. People talk about 1,000-pound
Yeah,
marlin.
yeah.
Mate, every centimetre's 100 pounds compared to this.
Now, there's a lot of folk watching who are interested in conservation. Why do we make such a fuss of putting these beautiful big fish back?
Hook up. Wow. We have to, Rex. This is a breeder. You know, if we let this thing go and it breeds this year, there's a couple of thousand more flathead for the whole
Is it
system.
really?
And if we kill it, that's a couple of thousand less.
Gee, look at it. Isn't she
Oh,
beautiful
she's been
condition.
through the wars.
Hasn't she been through the wars?
But she's-
She'd be an old fish, do you think?
Oh, yeah. And all rode up. Now
And
she's-
there is the tag. Now, if someone actually catches a flathead with a tag, what do they do, Pete?
They call up the local club, or should be a phone number on that tag.
Yeah.
For example, I catch a number of these a year, and a number of them get recaptured.
Yeah.
If you recapture a flathead, you don't have to kill it.
Yeah.
Just get the information where you caught it.
And you send this away to the Queensland fisheries. Now, that's a serious fish. You better tell us about it.
85 centimetres.
Now, if you had to make a judgment on the weight in kilos, what would you say?
Oh, I'd say this one's about 5.5, 6. Fully rode up. After it rode, probably 4.5, 5 kilos.
Gee whiz.
Starting to realise something's wrong now.
Yeah, for sure. Why would you want to kill a fish like that? You see, as Peter explained, kids, 2,000 flathead could come from this female alone. And she's just getting her breath. And I tell you what, I've been all over the world. There's not much better than that.
Not wrong. Stay with...
Just needs to point her in the direction and she's home, mate.
Over you go. There she goes.
Have a look at that.
Hey?
I think she just likes being here, and away she goes.
And look at that. Look how well it blends in.
Look at that! The old bearded birdler, he's in his element.
Threw it into his mouth.
Unbelievable, mate.
It's just like nature. It's what we're all about.
I tell you what,
This is just fantastic.
Wagons, ho! Oh, thank your mother for the rabbits. Just when they think it's safe to come out, not an animal! Bang!
I guess in the end, that's probably why we all go fishing.
Folks, one of the most important things when you put fingerlings into an impoundment like Lake Tinaroo is you find out the progressive growth of the barramundi that come in here. And then you can promote it all around the world for anglers to come and fish for 30, 40, 50, even 60, 70, 80 pound barramundi. Now, a lot of the fisheries around Australia use nets. They set them overnight and yibbida yibbida, everything that goes into the net stays in the net and ends up you know where. And that includes some of our precious wildlife. But the Queensland Fisheries Division, led by Alf Hogan, has a unique way of testing these waters. There he is. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Wow. Look at him.
Yeah. See the yellow tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him. No, he's only about the same size as the other one. But he'll do. Yeah, he'll do for a start. No, he's smaller than the other one, actually.
God, mighty. Quite incredible, folks, that in an artificially stocked impoundment, a fish just into its 5th year by a few days can be 1.02 metres in length and a serious fish. Alf Hogan and Terry Valance from the Department of Primary Industries Fisheries Division in Northern Queensland have taken us out on the top arm of Lake Tinaroo to do a bit of electro-fishing. And those Chinese lantern-looking objects in the front of the boat, they're actually electrifying the fish. But Alf, I'll hand it over you now to tell us exactly how we electrocute the fish and how it's just harmless to the fish, particularly when you've done all your research.
Yeah, okay, Rex. Yeah, the Chinese lanterns that you're actually referring to are the anodes, and there's 1,000 volts go through those. And we're also putting 7.5 amps into the water. And what it does is it actually just anaesthetises the fish. It doesn't hurt them in any way, and that's why we love it as a sampling tool. And what we've got here is probably a 4-year-old barra. It's a beautiful fish, And what we're going to do with it is we're going to tag it. I'll show you how to tag it, and I'll show you how to handle it and release it so that it's tagged, handled and released in a way that's going to ensure its survival.
I think it's very important, folks, that we show this, because even myself, over 9 years of this particular series, have been guilty at times of being so excited, holding the fish up by the jaw, and Yibbida Yibbida, folks, we all know what happened to Ned Kelly when they did that to Wayne.
Terry, the total length of this fish is 102 centimetres, and the tag number is LT 2459. And what I'm going to do, Rex, I'll show you. This is called a dart tag. It's just got the single barb there, and the theory anyway, or the idea, is to get this little barb there behind some of these bones that go down behind these fins here. So the idea is to flick a few scales out of the road, and it's a pretty simple sort of a process. You can do it really quickly, so it's about 2 or 3 scales down, so just flick them out of the road like that, see, no worries at all. And they grow back, no worries. And then the idea is the barb is facing downwards like that, because the idea is, as I said, get it behind those fin rays. So it's just a short jab in, and we put it in at an angle, so you'll feel one push goes through the skin, the second push goes under the bones. In, I felt that one go in again. Whip straight out, quick tag, tug. I'm going to weigh him now, and then we'll let him go. As I said before, we don't lift him up by the jaw, we're going to weigh him in this sling here. So, sling weighs, looks like we've got it pre-weighed, 1.2 kgs. We'll just slip him in here. Especially designed U-Butte one, but for any angler who's doing this, what they can do is just weigh it in the landing net, and then just subtract the weight of the landing net. So he just slips in there like that.
Big fish.
So just slip that in there.
Yeah.
I think there's another one on the other side. Get that one through there too. Right, mate. This is the lie detector test. What's he say? Ticklish?
16.
16 kg.
16 kg, it's a serious fish.
Yep.
Hunt says 16.4, the fisheries say 15. Yibbida Yibbida, that is fantastic. Well, okay, as Alf sends this fish back to his home, or her home, in Lake Tinaroo, this is a fantastic example of environmentally friendly testing the water here at areas like Tinaroo. In the olden days, they used to net them and just kill them. Now they just zap them, a little bit of anaesthetic, and they swim away to continue on their glorious life here at Lake Tinaroo in northern Queensland.
What I normally do with them, Rex, is just give them a bit of a swim off.
Yep.
So I might just give her a bit of a shove. Away you go.
And kick.
Gone. Ah, it's another one done. Have to do a bit more sampling, eh?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get you a bigger one.
Big one. Down there.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
So there you are, folks. Absolutely intriguing. And our special thanks to Alf and Terry for showing us quite a unique way of surveying the magnificent Barramundi of Tinaroo.
Yep. Well, how about this spot, eh? Fantastic. This is the mouth of the Minamurra River, just north of Kiama. And we've just paddled across to fish Mystics Beach. We're going to catch some bait here and try for some whiting. The nor'easter's already up. If it's too windy, we'll try it right here in the Minamurra River mouth itself. I'm here with Brett Guy. Come over, Brett, and meet the folks. Now, Brett runs a guided fishing business as part of the Cigna charter business down here in Kiama. And what sort of fishing do you mostly do, mate?
Most of what I do is bass fishing, lure fishing for brim, flathead. Come down these flats, pick up some bait, fish for whiting, mullet, that sort of thing.
Lovely, just the sort of stuff I like. All right, well, show me where these beach worms live and we'll catch some bait.
Okay, we'll go grab some.
Look at that. He's
One
done
beautiful beach worm.
It's taken us a little while. What we're doing is we're just swishing this tuna frame around in the water to create some smell. Then when the worm sticks his head up, Brett was in there with a bit of bait, feeding him on it, grabbed him by the head, whipped him out of the sand. We now have bait. One more and I reckon we'll be able to start fishing. Now the smell's attracted him up. I'm just teasing him up now with this pilchard hand bait.
He's pretty eager too.
This one's on the job. Uh-oh. I missed him. I don't think my reflexes are quite as fast as Brett's. Oh well. We've got one worm and I've also got a plan B in the form of some frozen tube worms, and we've got a yabby pump, so all's not lost. There's quite a lot of little whiting swimming around in the surf here, but this nor'easter is getting very, very strong now. I think what we're going to do is go back into the river mouth and have a try for a whiting or a mullet there. I'm using a little bit of beach worm as bait at the moment, but what I might switch over to in a minute is a smaller hook and a piece of bread. The way we use bread for bait is just to get a bit of the fresh bread and squeeze all the air out of it. You need to exclude the air, make it into like a dough, and then you can actually mould it around your hook. Might try a little cocktail of worm and bread. This is good fun. No monsters here, no records to be broken, but a lot of fun to be had. Woo! Whoa! Oh, good stuff. Especially in this clear water, you can see every bit of it, the whole fight. Another nice chubby little sand mullet. What a little beauty. Gee, it wouldn't take long to put together a feed of these. But I'm happy enough today just to slip them back in the water. What a ripper.
Nice little stingray down here.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, isn't he? Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Healthy little estuary, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's very beautiful.
So how old are you, Brett?
I'm 23 now, Steve.
How long have you been fishing?
Oh, since birth, just about.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I probably started fishing seriously when I was about 10 years old.
I guess you started off exactly like this, eh?
Yeah, starting off wharves and jetties. I think if you're going to take it up seriously, I think that's where you should start, because you're going to learn the basics far better doing this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And you certainly build up a much greater appreciation of the different species and diversity of fish life.
I tell you what, this brings out the kid in me. Look at that, what a beauty.
Beautiful fish there,
Aren't they
Steve?
great? They're a good looking fish, aren't they?
And they fight well.
Oh, they do. And these are getting up probably around the 300 gram mark. Starting to pull really well when they get to that size. What a beautiful fish. Woo, he's away. And now you've been able to actually turn your passion for fishing into a bit of an income. How long have you been guiding for?
I started guiding last year, and we took a few people up. Mainly, we used it as a weather out.
Yep.
I suppose you could call it, from the boat. If the weather was no good there, we used to take people up bassing, give them that option anyway, if they wanted to do that.
Now, when you say you started guiding as a weather option for the boat, you're talking, of course, about your dad's boat, Cigna. And when we were out on the Seeker yesterday catching our marl, and you guys managed to catch a couple. Do you really enjoy your blue water offshore fishing?
I do. Most certainly, it's a very different aspect to this sort of estuary fishing, but it's somewhat more exciting in an adrenaline rush sort of a way.
Now, you really enjoy your fly fishing too, don't you?
I love my fly fishing, Steve, yeah.
I'll tell you what, the way we got these mullet going, they'd have to get into those bread flies of yours. What do you say we go and get them and show the folks how to catch mullet on fly?
Absolutely, it's certainly easier than most people think it is.
That's right, and I mean they can do it with their trout weight gear as well, which is really good.
You should do it with your trout weight fly gear. It
4 weights
makes
to the
it
go.
enjoyable. Fish this size.
Yeah, it's the perfect stuff for it. One of these kinds of fish, oh, pulled the hook. One of these fish that the more activity that's going on, the more excited they seem to get. I'm just throwing it out there, letting it sink a little bit and just stripping it slowly, and they're all over it. Not always easy to hook. Oh.
Trying to catch them on a floating fly here and blind as bats.
Oh, you've got the floating fly on?
Yeah.
There's a feather out there and they're actually rising to that a second ago. Oh, they're going there now. Woohoo! Oh, this is so much fun. Tell you what, I think they'd pull a little trout the same size backwards.
I think they would. I just popped off.
Did you really?
Yeah. A big head shake on the strike.
Ah.
And put a nice little bend in the rod, these things.
Oh yeah, they're great. When you see us catch big saltwater fish sometimes, or even large trout, we usually try and get all the line back onto the reel and fight the fish off the reel. But when you're catching small fish like this, be they trout or mullet or brim or whatever, you can just fight them by stripping line in like this. You don't have to get them back onto the reel. Come on. Oh, and they
Got
get
a good one on
down.
there, Steve.
Yeah, they get their head down and they can really go. Oh, he's a nice fat little one. What a ripper. Oh, and Brett's hooked up again. We haven't caught anything big, but I have had an absolute ball fishing with Brett here in an estuary that's only 10 minutes drive from my home, and yet I tend to just drive across it and ignore it. And I guess we've all got waters like that, close to home, but full of nice surprises. If you're not into fishing yourself and you want to get the kids into it or whatever, use a guide like Brett. Don't be ashamed of doing it. We live in an age of specialisation. Use a specialist. You'll have a ball.
Oh, thank your mother for the rabbit. Oh, unbelievable, folks.
Rexy boy has done it again. In all my years of fishing, folks, it never ceases to amaze me what our waterways can provide for recreational anglers. And Central Victoria turns it on big time. And Steve Starling enjoys a tailor feeding frenzy on Sydney Harbour. Welcome to Bridgewater on Loddon. A one-horse town maybe, but the folks of this country hamlet are enjoying a veritable angling feast. With the alarm clock still ringing in my ears, let's explore the Loddon River together.
Well, folks, I tell you what, one of the great advantages of this job of mine in Australia and, in fact, right around the globe is my office. And I tell you what, there's nothing better than Australia just after the sun comes up, the galahs, the sheep, the smell of the bush. I'm talking about galahs. I got one with me today, folks. Adam Reuter, say good day to the folks.
Howdy. Love you too, Rick.
He is a nightmare, this bloke. You reckon I'm a tadpole short of a swamp, folks? He's an antenna short of a cockroach, I can tell you now. He's from the Complete Angler range of stores that Jimmy Allen runs here in Australia. But the bottom line is, kid, you love fishing.
That's the idea.
Now, can you convey down that lens what you said to me on the way up here, what you'd like to do by the time you're 35?
By the time I'm 35, I'm going to be standing in that bloke's shoes.
I tell you what, I hope they're not cement, folks. If that ain't confidence, I'm not bald. Adam Reuter and Rex Hunt. This show, folks, will be interesting. Stick around. You know, folks, using the state-of-the-art fishing gear is what the enjoyment of the complete experience of angling is all about. These snags are the home of yellow belly, Murray Cod and redfin. Now, if I was to just cast out there normally like I would for trout and just sort of wind in like that, I'm not in the strike zone long enough, particularly in some discoloured water, for the fish to have a real good look at the lure.
Do you want a tip from a pro, old boy?
Yes, young man.
That's it. When you cast your lure out, just get it out there. Go about half a dozen turns to get it down to its swimming depth, and then stop. And then jig, jig the rod tip.
Jig, jig.
Jig, jig, yes. So,
Jig.
Jig, jig.
I'll try it. No worries. Here we go.
So, it's New Zealand for jig, jig.
Here we go.
That's it.
I got it. Jig, dig, 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 dig. Is that it?
You're getting the swing of it now, old boy.
You idiot. Look at the action.
Hey?
The action of it. Unreal, isn't it?
Oh, these lures are nuts.
Oh, I got whammed just right there, Adam. Right there. Oh, gee whiz. Now, he's taken me under a snag. I've got this little electric. It's nice and quiet. Now, fish has come out of the snag there now. I tell you what, he whammed that as if there was no tomorrow.
They give you a good thumping.
They do give you a good thumping.
No
I tell you
dramas.
what.
Look out. Oh,
wacko.
Action stations.
I tell you what.
Oh, God.
Adam, I'm a bit disappointed in you.
Why is that, mate?
Have you got a bigger net?
Well, I tried, but now it is.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, he's a
Look at
lovely
this.
big fish.
Oh, dear me.
Mate, bigger net.
I feel
you
like
weren't wrong.
What an absolute beauty. I tell you what. Now, he's just hooked at him, and we're going to be very, very lucky to get him, I tell you now. But what a beautiful cod.
Just need to swing him over the top of the net.
Coming here now. Look at that, he's home.
Look at that.
Well, isn't that fantastic?
What a lovely big fish.
A beautiful big fish.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the Murray Cod of the Loddon River in central Victoria.
Well, he's a stocked beast, thankfully, for our Victorian fisheries.
Yeah.
There were already a population in here, of course, but
Yes.
just get rid of that hook out of there. But the fisheries have been kind enough to stock both your yellow belly and your cod in here, which is good for us fish folk. But thankfully, this place doesn't see that much pressure, and I suppose that's why this bloke's as big as he is.
I've got.
But this is probably one of the biggest cod I've seen.
Look at that. Johnny Ellis's stump jumper. I tell you what, for a Murray Cod lure, there's none better. Adam, that is a serious fish, isn't
Mate,
it?
that is a dead set serious fish. I don't know how much he'll weigh. He's a monster, though.
Well, I just happen to have a lie detector here, mate. So if I can get him by the jaw, I tell you what, the teeth
you
are
wanna watch
serious
those.
teeth.
They are nasty
Aren't they?
pieces of work.
He is a serious fish. Now, open up your mouth, mate. I bet you it's a big bardy grub or something.
Oh, he'd have a few good
He'd,
carp in his guts, I reckon.
For sure.
Yeah. 7.7 kilos.
7.7 kilos is about 17 pounds.
Yeah, in the Ulster. That's good.
Well, I tell you what, folks, this is a... We'll be right, folks. These are very hardy fish, aren't they?
They are,
Let's
yeah.
explain. A lot of folks sort of worry about whether these fish live, you know, when you release them. But these are hardy fish. These are Australian fish. And what we've done, we've nearly wiped them out. The introduction of European carp, man's constant need to improvise and to extend his horizons have taken some of the true habitat out of these magnificent areas. Now, what we're going to do is release him. But this is a great win for the Victorian fisheries, I tell you what.
Huge win for him. Look at
Now
that.
look at the roof over the tool shed there, mate. I tell you what, a beautiful Murray Cod from the Loddon River here in central Victoria. Come on, mate, I'll give you a bit of a tickle on the tummy. And look at that.
There he is, he's out of it.
And those people watching right around the globe. The Murray Cod is a symbol of Australia, what we believe is a very special country. Why don't you come and see for yourself?